It's been about a week now since the release of Akuma and the big SF6 balance patch, which saw every character receive changes, as well as new mechanics and bug fixes across the board. But how much actually changed with this update, and did it improve the overall game? Having attended Combo Breaker, which was the first major tournament played on the new patch, I can tell you the overall consensus from everyone I talked to is that this version is very well received, and players are thoroughly enjoying the changes Capcom have implemented. Of course, what this means is, along with the balance changes, characters will become stronger and weaker. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about the most changed characters in this patch for better and worse. So let's get started with the first most changed character in the game, Ryu. Street Fighter's lead protagonist may well just be that in this season of SF6, as this guy got buffed through the roof. More damage, better frame data on normals and specials, more drive and super build, and dealing out more drive gauge damage. There really is almost no area that Ryu has not been improved in. Not only this, they also added new combo routes to improve his damage even more, and ways to charge up and retain his Denjin charge buff, adding to his neutral game and hit confirms. The biggest buff I would say would have to be his solar plexus change. This command normal has been a staple of Ryu's gameplay for years, and now it might be better than ever before. It makes for an amazing neutral tool and approach, and the fact that it's a whopping +3 on block now and has no scaling on hit, chef's kiss. The next character who feels like they got buffed to the moon is Aki. SF6's poison expert was already seemingly in a good place during the first season of the game, but Capcom said that's not enough and gave her a whole host of improvements this time around. Improved frame data on a bunch of her normals, including a faster standing light kick, plus on block crouching medium kick and a more active crouching heavy kick, help her hit confirm a lot easier and dish out more damage. She has a much easier time capitalizing off of confirms and juggles, and combined with her unique poison mechanic can rack up a ton of damage in the blink of an eye, as well as being elusive and surprising to the opponent in neutral and from full screen. On top of that, improving her specials with usability buffs and how certain states work, such as punish counter, as well as improving her toxic blossom functionality on Serpent Lash, helps Aki players make the most from any kind of situation. The biggest buff for her is tough since she has so many, but I would say it has to be either the now +5 on hit and +1 on block crouching medium kick, which allows for great usage at almost any point, or her venomous fang dive, which is now pretty much fully projectile invincible, making using fireballs of any kind against Aki extremely risky. Continuing with the buffs, a low tier character who saw a ton of improvements is Jamie. Jamie was vastly improved in terms of his frame data, target combos, specials, and also saw a buff to his Super Art 1, adding faster startup and easier use in combos. His now +2 on block standing medium punch, as well as additional frame data from his +5 on hit crouch medium punch, allow him to frame trap and confirm into big damage a lot easier, as well as bring him closer to his all-important drink mechanic, which can steamroll matches with ease. Another change which is huge for Jamie is the drive gauge he built on his wreckers has doubled, as well as the amount he chips on the opponent's drive on block. This means while Jamie is keeping himself tanked up on the drive gauge front, his opponents may always be thirsting for more, and we all know how important it is to keep control of that in SF6. He also has more juggle potential, allowing him to spend resources to kill off the opponent easier if need be. Besides all of this, he did receive a couple of minor nerfs. His sweep is more risky now, being more punishable on block, and his OD command grab has more scaling added to it, which I feel are both pretty fair nerfs. The biggest buffs for him, however, I would say would have to be either the projectile invincibility increase on his breakdance special, or his palm becoming safe at only -3 on block. The final low tier hero who was improved heavily I want to focus on is Zangief. Street Fighter's premier grappler received an absolute truckload of buffs, and he is eating really good this season. Honestly, every character I've mentioned so far, you can just keep on scrolling on the patch notes and the wins don't seem to end. Gief was seen by many as the worst character in the game in Season 1, and Capcom have really tried to turn this around this time, and man, does it ever show. Similar to Ryu, Gief is now dishing out more damage and drive gauge reduction, while also increasing his own drive and super gauges a lot faster. This has been added pretty much across the board for him on many normals and almost all of his specials. When this big boy is hitting you, not only is he deleting your health, he's also now gaining more resources and removing yours in turn. He also has new combo routes allowing for even more damage and optimization. On top of all of that, his frame data on many moves has also been improved, keeping him safer when approaching the opponent on block, as seen with his knee hammer and cyclone wheel kick. I would say the biggest buffs for Geef would be his OD running bear grab, getting more range when absorbing an attack, really helping him against zoners and making them think twice about throwing out pokes against him. The other one I would say is his crouching heavy punch not only being fast to start up, but giving different properties on punish counter, allowing for a ground bounce and new combo routes. This not only helps him get huge damage in punish situations, but helps him take advantage of perfect parries when the opponent is too far for a grab. With all of this combined, it's looking like Zangief could be back to being the big threat he was always destined to be in this season of SF6. Well, those are the biggest winners of this patch, so who are the not so lucky characters? The most glaring example for me would have to be DJ. He was an absolute monster in Season 1, with insane damage, screen control and pressure, putting him in most players' top 5s and some even top 3s. Now, while he can still hit hard, the setups he needs to use are a little more specific and require more resources to do so. More damage scaling was added to his common combo extenders, as well as less juggle points on his specials, meaning he will natively be doing less damage with the same combos he was using in Season 1. That isn't to say it's all bad for DJ, he did receive a nice buff to his Super Art 1, dealing more damage and making it much safer on block, encouraging players to use this more as a whiff punish tool. With that being said, I think there are more negatives than positives for him. The biggest change I would say would be his knee shot being in punish counter state from the second frame onwards, basically making one of his most common approaches a massive risk against opponents who are ready to anti-air. The next character who was significantly nerfed now for the second patch in a row is JP. They already toned down his damage and juggles in the patch after Capcom Cup, and now they've gone even further, adding more scaling to some of his combo tools and giving him more of a hurt box on many of his commonly used normals. I think overall this character might still be a threat, but his most egregious tools are now a lot more toned down. I think the biggest nerf was to what most would say would be the best super in the game, his level 2. It now starts up a lot slower and you cannot true block string the opponent into it as easily. You can, however, now cancel OD specials on the first hit into supers, so you can use it like that if you want to. This of course comes at the cost of more drive gauge, which can be a double-edged sword in SF6. All in all, we may be seeing JP a lot less, and as somebody who watched Capcom Cup, the less we hear that theme, the better, in my humble opinion. So those are the characters who I feel were changed the most, but there are several characters who did receive changes, but time will tell if it really changes where they stand on the tier list side of things. An honourable mention goes to Lily, who got some nice buffs and was also buffed further passively through the addition of the recovery drive reversal. Piloted by El Chakotay, she won Combo Breaker, defeating Noah's Luke in Grand Finals, which could be seen as a true statement of out with the old and in with the new. I'd also say there are some characters who received changes but maybe didn't change too much on the tier list. I'd say Chun, Guile, Luke and Blanca are in this tier. They got reduced in some aspects and improved in others. It's hard to say, but we will see over time how they stack up to the rest of the cast, and when we have a clear picture, you know I'll be right here to cover it on the channel, so stay tuned for more videos in the future. Speaking of which, we've seen a ton of growth here over the past couple of weeks, so I've got to say a massive shout out to you guys for supporting my content. There is plenty more on the way, so stay tuned. With that being said, I'm done for the day here, so thank you for watching. I've been Tyrant and I'll see you in the next stream or video.